Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, September 30th, 2022. Happy Friday, everyone. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, the ES trading within a developing 5-day range that is developed at these lows. You'll notice right here, again, it's a compression day as of right now. 55% of ADR, 53.5 points of range. Inside day presently, and if we bring this up to a 5-day reading here, this is a developing 5-day reading, as today's is the 5th bar and it continues to develop, so it's not a full 5-day range just yet, but a developing range that is currently narrow, 58% of average, with the potential to see somewhere between 220 and 275 points of expansion up ahead if we get a breakout early next week. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, we could be mostly range bound today inside this range. We may be able to drop to the low and bounce back up. Not sure we get up to the high, but any push to the upper end and you fade back in. This is the range here as we head into the end of the month and the end of the quarter. Today is the end of the month, end of the week, end of the quarter, and next week we'll have new quarterly pivots. So you see the current last price here, current low, the midpoint here, and the high. So those are the quarterly pivots. One thing we'll be watching for early next quarter is for some sort of rejection here. A push and a rejection here could open up a quick return back toward the midpoint of the previous quarter, and at that point we'll see what happens. But right now, watching this edge early next quarter. For right now, range bound within the 5-day range. If we take a look here at the NQ, similar price action here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days sideways. You can even make this one 6 days as well. And you'll notice right here, 6 days, 55% of average. That encompasses this range right here. Again, not the tiniest range, but against the high volatility environment right now, a serviceable narrow range, still with a downward bias, and the potential to see a move of about 875 to about 1100 points once we get a breakout. Perhaps more, but right now the average is 875. You got an R125 here of about 1100 points. So somewhere, just call it 1,000 points of range coming up here pretty soon. That could be pretty significant. Now keep in mind, like the ES, we have our quarterly pivots here. You got your quarterly high here, your quarterly mid there. If early next quarter we can get some sort of rejection here and find a strong pivot low, you can look up about 1,000 points and you have a good upside target. From there, you could also continue higher toward the midpoint of the previous quarter. We also have the FOMC key level above in all of these markets for the most part, and initially prices offered away from that level. As soon as we find a strong pivot low, we can return right back to that zone. We thought we had that a couple of days ago, but this market stayed within the range instead. Still a downward bias until proven otherwise. If we take a look here at crude oil, crude oil is currently down about 0.5%. This is perhaps a good intraday opportunity right now, as it just bounced off the $80 level. Intraday 60-minute time frame buy signal that is developing with several minutes to go. You see the breakout day right here. That was your stop run day above the prior high. Now you're holding the breakout point the last couple of days. Today, testing the previous session's low and seeing some early rejection, and that could lead to at least a bounce back toward the highs of the day. Call it 82.5, maybe even a bit higher. So 82.5 right now could be ahead from this 80 bounce point. And keep in mind, again, this was the counter trend edge here, so we're seeing a little bit of a lazy bounce up here, but once this bounce takes hold here, we may see a responding sell opportunity as bears will look to defend the upper end of the downtrending channel. So again, right now in a short-term wave higher, the bounce off 80 looks good. The bounce off the previous session's low looks decent. That could lead to a short-term rotation back within the 2-day range here. and eventually we may see a little bit more upside. That could be seen as a sell the rip opportunity. All right, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Bitcoin still continues to trade within that developing narrow range at these lows. This thing is very close to seeing a very significant breakout move. We have this narrow range that is developed here with good pivots on both sides of the range. It's a very compressed range that's sitting precisely on the year support, 18K. If this rounded top is any indication here, a downside break will be next in all likelihood. What would lead to a good bullish rally, however, would be for a downside break that is sharply rejected. If you get a downside break from this type of pattern that has a sharp rejection on the end, you may see a good rally that takes you back up to 23 and maybe 25K. So it could be a pretty decent rally. But again, got to see how the market responds out of this range. Right now, still building energy. If we take a look at ETH futures, similar price action, very narrow range here over the last 8 or 10 sessions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we make this a 10-day range right here, again, we can get some quantifiable stats. 45% of average, the average being 450 points. Right now, that R125 is 560 points. So between 450 and 550, call it 500 points coming up here soon. 500 points. And that's 500 points from a breakout point. You know, if this thing breaks down through 1200, you might see 700 below. If it breaks to the upside, do we get a return back to 2000? So 500 points is a big time move, depending on which edge, how you use it. We'll see which way we go. Again, if this thing were to drop and find a sharp rejection off of 1100 plus 5 would take you right back to VPOC at 1600. So we'll see which way we go. But again, building energy is ETH and BTC. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops here heading into the weekend. Everyone have a fantastic Friday. Have a great weekend. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.